Hello, everybody. This is John Monroe, Director of Custom Editorial at FCW. I want to welcome you to today's webcast, Using GSA IT Solutions to Improve What and How You Buy. This event is brought to you by FCW and the Acquire Show. Our speaker today is Mary Davey from the U.S. General Services Administration. Mary is the Assistant Commissioner of the Office of Integrated Technology Services in GSA's Federal Acquisition Service. ITS plays a vital role in the federal IT community, providing government agencies with access to best value IT and telecommunications products, services, and solutions. ITS manages a portfolio of popular acquisition vehicles, including the IT Schedule, Alliant, Alliant SB, and many others, as well as several federal strategic sourcing initiatives. In today's webcast, Mary will discuss how ITS continues to evolve its offerings to support current government mandates and initiatives, such as strategic sourcing, FATARA, and category management. Mary has been a key player at GSA for a long time. In 2006, she was named Assistant Commissioner for FAS's Assisted Acquisition Service, where she launched the Better Buy project. She also served as the Acting Commissioner of FAS from August 2012 through February 2013, and she's known throughout the federal IT community as a thought leader in all things acquisition. But before I turn things over to Mary, I'd like to cover just a few housekeeping items. First, if you'd like to enlarge the slides, look for the green icon in the top right corner of the slide window. Click on that, and that should do the trick. Also, at any time during the next hour, if you'd like to submit a question, just look for the question field to the left of the slide window. Type your question in there and hit submit, and we'll be covering questions at the end of the presentation. If you have any technical difficulties during the session, look for the yellow question mark icon below the slide window. Click there, and you'll receive technical assistance. Finally, I want to let you know that in the next day or two, we'll email you a link to an archived version of the session so that you can view it again or share it with a colleague. And with that, I'd like to hand things over to Mary Davey. Mary?
Thank you, John. And I'm just really excited to have the opportunity to talk to everybody today. It's just an amazing time in the world of federal IT right now, as I'm sure all of you that are part of that know. And so today what I'm going to do is give you a little bit of an overview of the Integrated Technology Services portfolio, kind of the who we are and the what we do, how we support not only federal agencies but also state and local. Some ideas and some things that are going on in the world of smarter IT buying, what we call on the horizon, which is what we're working on now and what's next. And then some ideas on how to improve acquisitions and programs in your own agency, and then we'll take some questions. So ITS is a really large organization. About, actually more than a quarter of federal IT spend goes through the portfolio. And as John mentioned, we have government-wide acquisition contracts like Alliant, Alliant Small Business, VETS, 8A Stars, so opportunities to reach small businesses. Schedule 70, which is our largest contract and program with over 4,700 companies with millions of products and service line items available. And that vehicle also provides a tremendous opportunity for small business, as about 80% of the companies on Schedule 70 are small business, and more than 60% of the dollars flow to small business. So in that contract alone, ITS really does, work in the small business community and in every socioeconomic category. We also measure savings to the agencies and the programs where we can. And so, for instance, in our network services program, we're able to benchmark commercial prices that are paid against what we are able to achieve in the networks program with agency customers. And so that program alone saves agencies about $675 million a year, and we've been able to capture that data for the last 20 years. So it also allows us the ability to truly negotiate really good rates with the industry. And because we have such a large user base on the network services program, industry does see GSA as a provider, and it really helps all of government. We're also able to capture savings in our software program. our wireless program, and our satellite program. So everywhere we can, we track commercial prices. We also track what other agencies are paying, where we can get that data, and then we're able to sort of benchmark, what people are getting when they use GSA contracts. As you can also see, we support just about every federal DOD and civilian agency, meaning that they all buy through our various contracts. And then we support a multitude of categories. So I'm going to talk a little bit about category management and where the government is going with that. But ITS specifically has been working on an effort to transform the way in which we support agencies. So typically you may think of us as, well, I can go get something off GSA schedule, or I can use your GWAC, which is what we often talk about, because at the end of the day, somebody needs a contract in order to, buy something. But we're also looking at, what people are buying and how they're buying in different categories, such as hardware, software, IT services, IT security, telecommunications, and making sure that we have the experts and the expertise and ways in which GSA can support agencies to make better buying decisions when you're trying to buy those different kinds of, products and services. So it's a big effort that's going on there. We're actually reorganizing within not only ITS but the Federal Acquisition Service around categories, and we're working very closely with OMB and other agencies that have been designated as category managers, again, to make sure that our solutions are going to be really able to support agencies, especially as technology continues to evolve. So I talked a little bit about some of the initiatives and some of the programs that we have, but really we offer several different ways for agencies to use GSA and to use the Integrated Technology Services solutions. So first and foremost, people can just buy off our contracts directly. You can place an order on Schedule 70. You can issue a BPA. You can go through Delegated Procurement Authority training and use a GWAC. And then we can also provide some level of assistance there. So we have lots of tools and templates. We can do scope reviews. People submit statements of work to our Alliant program team, as an example, and they'll turn around a scope review and have a conversation with you within a day or two. We also are making a lot of those templates available on the Acquisition Gateway, and I'll talk about that in a little while. We also provide consulting and training, so an enormous amount of effort goes into training contracting folks on how to use schedules, as well as the GWACs and other contracts that we have. And then we have an assisted acquisition services function where GSA staff will actually help you do your market research, write your requirements document, develop your solicitation package and your acquisition strategy, go through an evaluation with you, and actually place an order on behalf of the agency, and then follow up with both project and financial management after award for the life of the task order. So again, it's, just from making a contract available all the way through helping you and doing the buy for you. We provide those options for federal agencies. We've also entered into some strategic partnerships with some agencies recently, which I think are really important because they provide, again, agencies a way not only to use existing contracts, but to get sort of more out of what they're looking to do to meet their mission. So Defense Health Agency is a really good example where they were looking for some IT contracts in health IT. And over a period of several months, GSA and DHS discussed what their needs were, and it was more than just trying to find a suite of contracts. What they were really looking for as well was some assistance in how to make buying decisions, some assistance in generating requirements and then putting solicitation documents together, assistance in making sure that they had the companies that they needed to be on the contracts, properly vetted and qualified. And they also were looking for some electronic tools to track and manage their spend, to look, to find out where their buys were, who's buying what across DHA, and then also, do some specific contract actions through those tools. So we've entered into a partnership with them and providing them all of those things. So we have people sitting on site with them. They're also using the Assisted Acquisition Services organization. They're working with us to help us further develop the Acquisition Gateway and what we're calling the FAS transformation platform, which is that common acquisition platform that will provide an end-to-end kind of buying solution in the future. So we're very flexible in terms of what we can provide to agencies and, what the needs are beyond just making contracts available. We've worked very closely with the Defense Information Systems Agency, or DISA, for a number of years, and we have a strategic partnership with them where we provide global satellite communication services to all of the federal government. We're now working with them on network services requirements, as well as on mobility and wireless, and potentially a new cloud solution. So again, when agencies have needs, it really makes sense for us to try to work together to solve them, which is what we have done a lot of, with the Federal Strategic Sourcing Initiative over the years. So other things that represent partnerships and different working groups, when we put requirements together or try to, plan for new contracts, we don't do it by ourselves. Almost always we have a very robust group of folks from a number of different agencies helping shape those requirements and really ultimately saying what they're trying to achieve, with those buys. So FSSI Wireless was put together a few years ago with a number of agencies. That's been really successful. We're seeing almost every agency using it today, the BPA. An average savings rate is 27% off, and that's not published schedule rate, but in fact that's documented rates against what we've seen agencies' own original wireless plans. So we've got some significant savings there as well. Network services, we've had people working with us for the last 2 years, planning the new portfolio, planning requirements, putting the solicitation together. DHS actually wrote the security requirements for network services. So again, in everything that we're doing, it's really, what can we do to help the government really buy what it needs and not what GSA thinks it might need. FITARA and the software mandate that GSA has to make available enterprise agreements to all of government. Again, working with Department of Defense, OMB, and a number of agencies to target different kinds of software that the government, needs and buys. Cybersecurity is always, of course, at the top of everyone's mind these days, and we're working very closely with NIST, OMB, and DHS on what GSA can do to support the implementation activities of both the Cyber Sprint as well as the new Cyber National Action Plan. We worked closely with OMB, NASA, NIH, and several other agencies on coming up with the configurations, the standard configurations for the government-wide strategic solutions for laptops and desktops. And now we're one of 3 agencies that have 6 standard configurations available on our contract meeting those requirements. And then in other areas in security, such as U.S. Access, which is the HSPD-12 PIV card program that we run, as well as what we call the Federal Bridge, which allows for secure transactions both between agencies and agencies to commercial providers. So next, I'm going to get into the acquisition gateway in a little bit, and that's why I didn't cover it right yet. So we've got a lot of things in place now called what we call smarter buying, and so FITARA is certainly one of them. We've already worked a couple of deals under the FITARA software initiative. One was with Salesforce Services, supporting, again, a group of agencies who were looking for app development services, all using the Force.com platform already, and that group recognized the need to come together and try to do this as one instead of continuing to write their own requirements and buy it all separately. And in fact, the BPA that was awarded, agencies can now share code. That was part of what we built into that BPA, so a lot of reuse of applications. In wireless and mobility, OMB recently kicked off the mobile services category team just a couple of weeks ago. There is a draft memo out circulating in the agencies today that is going to mandate that agencies look at their wireless plans and really scrub them and make some different decisions about how to consolidate wireless in an agency and then how to move to government-wide or enterprise-approved agreements for wireless solutions in the future. I talked about the solutions for laptop and desktop, and then on Schedule 70, we've had a lot of work going on. That program is, over 30 years old, and it's a very easy and convenient way for people to access just, numerous companies with, again, millions of products and services that are offered there. The Schedules program itself sees about $36 billion a year in purchases. That's across IT and professional services and different kinds of facilities management and things like that. So what we've really tried to look to is how can we help new companies get on schedule? How can we approve modifications faster? How can we get new products and services added to schedule faster? But also making sure that the quality checks that we do and to make sure that there's less in terms of price variability, and in fact we're able to look at the prices that those companies are offering to their best commercial customers, that they're offering to other federal agencies, and sort of continue now to keep a database of what prices are being paid where we can and use that information to better negotiate. And we're actually looking at prices that have been negotiated across the scheduled contracts today and using a tool to surf those prices. And then if a vendor is outside of what we consider maybe an acceptable range of pricing for, like terms and conditions, we will actually reach out to that vendor and let them know that they're outside of that range and ask them if they're, interested in renegotiating with us and, ensuring that they stay competitive in that market. We recently worked with the 18F program and awarded some Agile BPAs. So these were, again, contracts for Agile software development services, and they awarded them in a unique way, actually asking the vendors to bring code in and develop it in an Agile manner. So it was, really sort of a demonstration and not just a written technical proposal. We've also made some changes recently to Advantage Select, and we've got some BPAs up, or I should say on Advantage. We've got some BPAs up on Advantage, which we're calling Select. Their single award for things like laptops and monitors, which reduces a procurement transaction for an agency. If you like that laptop or that monitor, you can buy as many as you want without having to go through further competition. So we're looking at more opportunities to do things like that as well. And then looking on Schedule 70 to how we sort of categorize and make it easier for people to find and buy things like cloud solutions, the health IT solutions, and now cyber. So a lot of initiatives really, again, around the spend and the categories, more focused so on, than the contracts. So I talked a little bit about the acquisition gateway, and GSA really a few years ago put in place, what we're considering sort of a government-wide strategy and sort of platform development so that an agency has a single place to go to do market research, to look at their available options of contracts, to look at potential prices paid by other agencies for similar things, to access best practices, white papers, and really a community of people in the categories that have similar interests and needs. And so looking to then extend that platform so that eventually somebody can actually go all the way through a purchase transaction. So that's been underway for a couple of years now, and again, working with OMB and other agencies to really develop those requirements and see if we can, in fact, create what we're calling not only a common government-wide marketplace, but really a technology platform to facilitate those transactions. So the acquisition gateway can be found at hallways.cap.gsa.gov. There's no fee or cost to use it. It's on OMB Max. All federal employees have access to it, and now the public actually has a view of it as well. They don't see everything that the federal government sees. They see some, they'll see the contracts and they may see some white papers and things, but they would not see anything that the government would consider either, proprietary to another company or acquisition sensitive or anything like that. So this, again, is a place for anybody to go if you have an interest in, any of our 6 categories in IT, as an example, or of any of the, I believe it's 17 that the Federal Acquisition Service has up there. So anything in professional services, facilities maintenance, scientific and engineering. It really is designed to give people sort of a more focused place to go to look for things, in that area of interest that you have to make that buy. And again, I think one of the most powerful aspects of it really is you can ask questions, you can comment on different articles, you can post things if you want, but you can also connect with other people, and maybe, somebody else may have had a similar requirement and can really share with you their statement of work, their solicitation documents, their evaluation plan, and things like that. So really, I think it's just trying to connect people together as well as with information. And this one is just a slide sort of snapshot of what you see when you first log on to the Acquisition Gateway. You can also create your own project center, so if there's things that you want to search for and then track, if you've got ongoing projects and requirements, and you can use that as a place in which you can store your information. So I would encourage you to go on and just kind of play with it. It's very easy to use. It's user-friendly. There is a lot of information there. And we'd certainly also appreciate any feedback that people would have on how to improve it and make it, even more valuable to either a contracting person or a program person. So what's next for us? Just about every major program and contract we have right now is up for recompete. All of our GWACs, you see them up there on the top line, so that represents well over $100 billion in spend over 10 years. The networks contract will be in transition to the new Enterprise Infrastructure Solutions contract starting early next year. That also includes the transition out of all of our regional telecom contracts into EIS. We're working right now with DISA on the third generation of the satellite contracts. We're working with DISA on the potential new cloud contract. We are recompeting the identity management contract, the one that for the identity credentials. And then we're also looking at standing up some incident response, penetration testing, and hunt capabilities in response to the Cyber National Action Plan, and that should be in place by the end of the fiscal year. Here we go. Okay. So there's a lot of information. I hope your impression is that there is a lot that ITS has and that people can use without reinventing the wheel. But I think some other, suggestions would be to really get familiar with that gateway. We've got over 6,000 registered users on the gateway today, and I think, again, the power of that platform really is more people, right? More people, more information, more connections. Think about the social media platforms that you use today. It just really allows you to connect with people all over the world with different experiences, and we see this platform as something very similar. Obviously, saving time and money using existing contracts. Every agency still has control over whatever it is that they're issuing. It's just a way for GSA to provide sort of the upfront work, the qualified companies, specific terms and conditions, reporting features for you, access to prices paid, and again, sharing solicitations that other agencies may have used, and then you're on your own to issue your task order, or again, GSA can help you with that as well. A lot of agency participation on all the different teams I talked about with the new solicitations and programs developed, and if you're interested in participating in any of those, or if you want to see if your agency is already participating, please let us know that as well. And then we also have a robust Interact platform where when we're developing a new program or contract, we will use interact.gsa.gov to get information, requirements, questions out, questions in, questions answered from both industry and government. And we've used them very successfully on the Enterprise Infrastructure Solutions contract, the development of the Alliant 2 contract. I believe we had over 8,000 registered users on that platform for that program. So again, it's just another way in which we can connect people, connect information, and make sure that what it is we're developing is really going to meet the government needs, well into the future. So this is a slide that gives you access to, again, more information. GSA.gov/technology is where you can find GSA technology solutions beyond ITS. So you can, 18F is up there, as well as the Office of Citizen Services and Integrated Technology. There's our Twitter and our Interact and our LinkedIn information, as well as an email if you have general questions for us. And then again, access to the gateway information there. So with that, John, I think we're ready for questions.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mary. Yeah, so we have time for just a couple questions here. Let's see if we can get through them. So you talked about FITARA and the software initiative, but kind of beyond the software initiative, how else is ITS supporting agencies in their work under FITARA?
Yeah, so FITARA really, I think, is going to change, the agency's buying fairly significantly over the next few years, because there's still a lot of decentralized IT buying that's going on, and sometimes CIOs have visibility, sometimes they're part of the approval process, and sometimes they're not. And some of these very large agencies and the bureaus, and so FITARA really was intended to make us, better buyers and better spenders of that money. And so what GSA can provide is access, again, to companies that can help start that planning process. how are we going to get our arms around all the different contracts that we have or the different wireless devices that we have? Can somebody help us do an inventory? And then really make some decisions about how to structure, in the wireless case, the plans. How to, can we pull minutes across? What kind of carriers do we need and coverage do we have? And so whether it's a professional services contract or an IT consulting contract, GSA can help with that and then also help with implementation. So as agencies think through transitioning out of old contracts and then transitioning into, hopefully either an enterprise contract within the agency or an existing government contract, we can help with those kinds of, analysis and decisions as well.
Okay, great. Next question. We're hearing some rumblings about something called Making It Easier. What are these Making It Easier initiatives that GSA is working on?
So, yeah, that's a good one. I talked a little bit about, we want to get products and services and vendors, for instance, on our schedule contracts faster. So in order to do that, we need to make it easier. And what we've heard from different companies over the years is, there is a lot of paperwork required to get on schedule, any of the schedules, not just Schedule 70. And it's a rigorous process because what we're really trying to do for agencies is validate that this, company's been in business for a while. They are not going to go out of business on you. They've got qualified people. Their rates are fair. We've evaluated, how they are charging other customers. They've had audits, so we go through a very rigorous process. And so it's somewhat confusing for the industry, and it takes a while in some cases. So a couple things we're doing. One, we've been looking at different ways to speed up that process. And so, for instance, if an agency has a specific company that they're potentially interested in offering an opportunity to bid for a requirement that doesn't have a GSA schedule today, they can contact us, and we can work with that company to help get them on schedule faster. Basically, it's hand-holding. The company still needs to provide all the data and the documentation, but we will help them kind of personally through that process. In addition, for things like cyber, there's just such an increased demand right now for qualified companies on cyber. So if we're looking at doing, for instance, the cyber special item number on Schedule 70 to sort of group those providers, there may also need to be companies that aren't on schedule with those cyber capabilities that we would like to see be available. So we will target specific companies, with certain capabilities or NSA accreditations as an example, and ask them if they'd be interested in getting on schedule, and then again, kind of helping them walk through it. And then in technology specifically, there's a lot of new companies out there with some really interesting capabilities, and so what we're trying to do is work with them. They may not have worked with the federal government previously or even considered it, excuse me, because of just the process that it takes. So trying to sort of lower that barrier to entry. If they haven't been in business for 2 years as an example, but they've got a group of people on staff that have years of experience, we'll look at resumes rather than corporate in business kind of length. And so again, just finding creative ways to ensure that we can get quality companies on these contracts, but maybe in a different way. That broadens our access to companies as well as just, help speed up the process as well as decrease the cost to them.
Excellent. Okay, looks like we got time for one more question. So let's see. Yeah, here it is. So how will a government contracting officer know which contract is better to use at any given time, including in those cases where contracts seem to overlap? For example, if you want to buy cloud services and they're available through several different GSA contracts.
That is the question of the day, and we get that a lot. So, I talked about we have GWACs and we have schedules and we might do a new cloud contract, and people say, well, why? Why do you need all those contracts, and how would I even know what to use? So as we look at our portfolio and what's available today, and again, by category, not necessarily just by contract, we're trying to make some decisions about, are there things that are missing or that we're hearing from agencies that we may need a new solution for, or maybe modify an existing contract to support. And so we kind of look at what we call the nature of the buy. So for instance, you could purchase a cloud infrastructure, maybe through a data center need, through the network services contract. And if your agency network services portfolio includes that kind of requirement, as agencies, for instance, are looking to transition from networks to EIS, they may want to buy that solution through EIS as part of their overall sort of environment and infrastructure. If they're looking specifically for, I just want some cloud hosting services and I need something quick and dirty, they could use, the Infrastructure as a Service BPA or GSA Schedule 70. If they're looking for something that's sort of more customized and requires like a cost-plus type nature, it would be a total solution of products and services, for instance. They might look to a GWAC or potentially the new Cloud IDIQ. So then we also have a tool called the IT Solutions Navigator, which is kind of a more basic online tool that also includes, web chat, an ability for people to get to someone to ask questions. It'll take you through a little, set of questions, and it'll help you down select contracts based, again, on what your need is. Do you have a specific incumbent that you want to do business with? Is it a small business requirement that you'd like to put in place? Does it need to be cost-type contracting, or could it be firm fixed price or labor hour? Is it a total solution, or again, is it, I'm just looking to buy some number of licenses and it's going to be something relatively simple? So, we have online tools, we have people, we have a call center, but we really are also making sure that as we mature these contracts and as we put new contracts in place, there may be some overlap, and that would be on purpose, with our planning. But again, the focus of each one of these contracts kind of allows a very different primary, nature of that buy, and that's what we, want to help people understand.
Okay, great. Excellent. Well, thank you so much. So we are out of time. I would like to thank Mary Davey for a very informative session. It's been very good to have you with us today.
Well, thank you so much.
So, but before we sign off, I do want to make sure that everyone knows about the Acquire show. Acquire is a free 2-day conference and expo for government, military, and contractor professionals looking to deliver on agency missions. That is the goal. It covers a program's entire life cycle from policy setting to end-user experience, and it offers thought leadership presentations, training sessions, and a packed expo floor. The Acquire show is happening on June 8th and 9th at the Convention Center in Washington, D.C., and you can learn more about it at acquireshow.com. So thank you all very much for attending, and we look forward to seeing you in June.